So I wonder if the voice in your head is your biggest supporter or your harshest critic. For me, it had been a constant source of criticism. That's until I discovered this powerful idea from a theory in psychotherapy called transactional analysis. Hi everyone, I'm Roman, a student psychotherapist. Join me as we learn together about mental health and psychotherapy and discover practical insights along the way. In this video, we're going to explore an idea in psychotherapy that helped change my inner critic into a more supportive, gentle voice that helps me achieve my goals. We'll start by looking at why we have this inner critic in the first place, according to this theory. After that, we'll explore 3 practical tips that can change the critical voice into a supportive one. And finally, we're going to look at what happens if we commit to this practice. So for a lot of us, we suffer from an inner critic that's harsh and constant. It never gives up in telling us how we're doing bad, how we suck, how we could do better. And this can lead to anxiety, procrastination, and ultimately low self-esteem. For me, this inner critic has plagued me all my life, and it is really like a plague. Throughout school, university, and my work life, it's been a source of constant pain and frustrations. I try to do something, I try to achieve something, and it constantly tells me why I can't do that thing along the way. I end up spending all this energy criticizing myself instead of actually getting on with the task. One area that it still comes up in is making these videos. I still get this critical voice in my head that just isn't helpful. It's good to have a certain level of self-criticism so that you are aware of where you could improve, what needs to change, but constant self-criticism becomes destructive because then you won't even try to do the thing because you don't want to hear the constant criticism. Instead of the task itself being the daunting thing, it's the criticism that comes along with it. But the good thing is we aren't stuck with this voice. It's not just you, it's a pattern that we have. And because it's a pattern, we can disrupt it and we can change it. So let's look at what's really going on according to transactional analysis, or TA. So TA has been around since the 50s and 60s, and it was introduced by a psychiatrist called Eric Berne. So through working with clients, he noticed we have ego states, which he described as coherent ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving that occur together. These ego states are child, adult, parent. Now, we're not going to go into that in this video, but what we are going to look into is the parent. According to Berne, we might find ourselves thinking, feeling, and behaving in a way that very much aligns with how our parents or parental figures raise us. This could be critical, or a critical parent, or nurturing parent. Some of us had very critical parents that constantly judged us, told us what we're doing wrong, what we need to improve, and so on. Whereas others may have had nurturing parents where they supported us, gave us a lot of compassion, and showed us the way. The critical parent is more the voice of rules, judgments, and criticisms. It tells us what we should do and why we're not good enough in certain ways. It's an echo of authority that we had in the past. The nurturing parent is more the voice of compassion, encouragement, and unconditional support. It tells us it's okay to make mistakes, that you got this, that you made a mistake, but so what? We can keep improving. Think of it like having 2 different coaches in your head. One is a drill sergeant and the other is a supportive mentor. Which one do you think would get you better results in the long term? I'd argue it's the supportive mentor. The drill sergeant could certainly get us results, but I would argue it is only useful at certain parts. We don't want a drill sergeant constantly following us around, constantly criticizing us and telling us why we're not good enough, telling us why what we're doing is wrong, because after a while we get discouraged and it stops us from trying new things. Whereas when you have a supportive mentor, you try something, feel like maybe you're not doing well enough, yet you have the supportive mentor tell you, well done for trying, you've put good effort in, if you try again, you could do it even better. That is the difference between having a drill sergeant and a supportive mentor. Someone who encourages us and makes us want to keep trying versus someone who criticizes us and makes us want to stop. Now, unfortunately, if we've had very critical parents or authority figures in our past, it's very likely that our inner voice is going to be quite harsh and critical as well. For some of us who were quite lucky and had very supportive parents, it's much more likely that we have a supportive inner voice. However, for those of us who have an inner critic, there are things we can do. What we can do is become our own nurturing parent. We can actively re-parent ourselves. We can make a conscious choice to strengthen our nurturing parent. The first tip is observation and labeling, which is simply being able to notice when you have the critical parent. When you notice that negative voice telling you off, telling you why you're not good enough, noticing that and labeling it as, oh, this is my critical parent. This creates a distance between you and that voice, which means that it's no longer you, but a pattern that you're noticing. And if it's a pattern, it can be changed. It's not you, you're not stuck with it. It's a pattern that's capable of changing. And the way we can change that is tip 2, which is to reframe. It's to introduce that nurturing parent, to notice the critical parent, notice that it's giving us harsh criticism, and consciously make the decision to become a nurturing parent, to talk to ourselves in a supportive tone and encourage ourselves to keep going forward. For example, we can say something like, that was a good first effort. What can we do to improve that? Tip 3 is to think, what would a kind friend say? Or what would a kind authority figure say? If we're having trouble with our nurturing parent, if we're finding it really difficult or awkward to be a nurturing parent for ourselves, we can imagine an authority figure who's kind and think about what they might say to us in this particular situation. It is a simple method, but when done consistently and consciously, it can make the biggest changes. So for me, what I do now is whenever I'm doing something new and I notice every now and then the critical parent comes in, I start saying things like, ugh, I look stupid here, or this is silly, or I don't know if I can do this. I notice that and consciously make statements that are more in line with the nurturing parent. So I might say something like, wow, I can't believe I've done this. This is actually quite difficult and yet I've still done it. That's quite impressive. Or I'm really proud of how I've actually put a lot of effort into this, and despite it being really difficult, I'm still going. That way, that sort of supportive, nurturing, kind words makes me want to keep going. Now, the benefits of doing this: we're going to be more resilient, we're going to be more versatile, we're going to have higher self-esteem, we're going to have more motivation and confidence, because whatever we're doing, there is a constant source of positive, affirmative, uplifting messages to keep us going. And it's been shown in studies that self-talk can have a major impact on our motivation levels. In fact, it can even increase our physical performance. Now, the trick is to be persistent. It takes time and it takes effort to reprogram the way you talk to yourself, to go from this critical voice to a very nurturing voice. It takes time to become aware of and label that critical voice, and then to consciously say positive things to ourselves instead. It can feel a bit awkward, but over time it starts to feel more natural and it becomes automatic, and that's when the changes really start to take place. I hope you find this useful. For me, it's been one of the most useful tools that I've discovered recently, and I've been using it with clients and they've had fantastic results with it so far as well. And with that, I hope to see you in the next video.